Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make Swedish meatballs. They are so easy to make, so please do give them a try. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click that little notification button. So let's get started. For this Swedish meatball recipe, you're going to need some stock, some milk, some breadcrumbs, salt and pepper, cream, honey, sour cream, egg, parsley, butter, an onion, some allspice, some corn flour and some pork and beef. To start, before you even start mixing the meatballs, you need to put your milk into your breadcrumbs. And I'm going to put this to one side and leave it for half an hour. This uses a red onion and it's just the same, it's just slightly milder than the ordinary Spanish onions. And you need to cut it quite finely because you're going to make these lovely gorgeous little meatballs. So I think I might put my glasses on because otherwise I'll chop my fingers off. You'd love it, wouldn't you, for me to chop my fingers off on screen?
So I'd have to take the hospital.
Yeah, you wouldn't, you just dump me outside.
Don't do hospitals.
To hospitals. I'll be left with no fingers. You just put my fingers in with the peas and just chuck me out.
Oh, we've got an ice tray.
I get no sympathy, do I?
You haven't chopped your fingers off. Why am I having to be sympathetic to hypothetical loss of limb?
There we go, that's the onion done. The next stage is just to put everything in the bowl. In Swedish meatballs, you actually use a mixture of pork and beef mince. It just changes the flavour, and that's how those lovely meatballs that you get from that big blue Swedish shop taste so yummy. Pork and mince just do go, sorry, pork and beef go really well together. One right in. It's the same amount of beef as the pork. Let's get that. I'll take the paper out, we don't want to eat that, do we? You're supposed to be telling me when I do things wrong. That's why our meatballs taste so special. I always leave the paper in.
I was just about to mention that and I thought,
yeah, maybe it's a special ingredient.
Did you leave the paper in on purpose?
Next, I'm going to add the onion. I'm going to crack an egg in. Right, lots of pepper because I like pepper. Oops. And some salt. Now this is allspice, and it's a weird spice because it's a mixture. It actually tastes like nutmeg, cinnamon and cloves and slightly peppery. It's a member of the myrtle family, and it just adds a really nice flavour. It gives you that Swedish meatball flavour. This has 2 teaspoons in, but if it's too strong for you, just take it down a bit. And lastly, the milk and breadcrumbs that I put aside earlier. See, they've gone all gooey. And all that's left to do now is to get in with your hands and squidge it all together. I remember when my children were little, actually going to IKEA on one of their birthdays because they wanted Swedish meatballs. And I always thought, you know, we all think Swedish meatballs are Swedish, but actually they're not. I discovered they're actually Turkish. And what happened was the King of Sweden, King Charles XII, I think his name was on a trip to Turkey, and he liked these meatballs, so he brought them back to Sweden. And now they've become as Swedish as ABBA. ABBA are Swedish, aren't they?
No, yes. They're Turkish.
going because you can tell because you want the beef and the pork mixed evenly together. And of course the beef is slightly a darker red than the pork, so you can tell when it's mixed properly. They need to be about walnut size, and I'm just going to put them on a tray. Now I'm just going to keep going until all this is turned into meatballs. This makes about 40 walnut sized meatballs. If you make them smaller you can get about 55 out of this recipe, but I've made 40 today. I never make the same amount twice because I always do them all different sizes. Now they're just going to go in the oven for 20 minutes until they're brown and look a bit crispy on the top. All that's left now is to make that lovely creamy sauce that you get with your meatballs. So I'm going to turn my heat on. Make sure I choose the right hob. And I'm going to add some oil. This is about 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using rapeseed oil. And I'm going to add my butter. I think this was about 30 grams. I'm going to melt the butter into the oil. Hear all the phones, can't you? Pinging all over the house. The butter is melted. And I'm just going to add, I think this is about 2 tablespoons of corn flour. I'm just going to stir that in like you would with a roux sauce. And the next thing I'm going to put in is the stock. I've used a chicken stock here. This is just boiled water with an OXO cube added to it. And I'm going to stir this in and I'm going to allow the heat to come up and for the sauce to thicken. You could use plain flour if you haven't got corn flour, but my mother always used corn flour because she said if you use corn flour you don't get lumps. And most times I don't get lumps unless I've done it really wrong. But then I don't tell people about the times I do it wrong. Those are my secrets.
Now that they're being filmed.
I know. Everybody will know now, won't they? I know if I stop stirring, it'll go all lumpy and then it'll prove that corn flour does make lumps. Just going to add about a teaspoon of honey just to give the sauce a bit of a sweet flavour. And now I'm going to add 300 ml, which is just a carton of sour cream. There we go. Oops, nearly dropped it in. Nearly dropped the carton in the dinner. This is double cream. I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons to here. I should measure it out, but I'm just going to pour it in. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and that will give it a lovely rich flavour. And lastly, some flat leaf parsley. This looks a bit soggy because it's come out of the freezer. And lastly, I'm just going to add my meatballs. And the last tray. And they're all still here because somebody was trying to nick them. But I told them they'd have less on their plate for dinner if they ate any before dinner. I'm just going to bring these up to simmer so that the meatballs heat through and then we'll be ready to dish up. Well, there we have it, my Swedish meatballs. I really do hope that you give these a go because they are absolutely delicious. I'm just going to get a fork because I forgot to get one out earlier and I'm going to give them a try and I'm going to tell you what they taste like. It's a lovely creamy sauce and they go really well with mashed potato and red cabbage. Oh, that just tastes gorgeous. Oh, that's lovely. I can't wait to sit down and finish that. I've also added a little bit of lingonberry jam, which you can get from the Big Blue store. I hope you give these a go. Don't forget to like and subscribe and I'll see you all again next time. Don't forget to click the little notification bell as well. I keep forgetting that one. I'll see you all again next time. Thanks. Bye-bye. You have to wait. Hands off. No! No!
We should just drink a load of Red Bull.
I know, they'll be all twitchy. For this sweet ball. Sweet ball. come out with a load of rubbish. They're like men, can't live with them, can't live without them.